Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. Don't allow anyone to make you feel that you are nobody. Men often hate each other because they fear each other. They fear each other because they don't know each other. They don't know each other because they cannot communicate. They cannot communicate because they are separated. It does not matter how long you live, but how well you do it. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands, moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. You don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. It is always the right time to do the right thing. Never be afraid to do what's right. We may have all come on different ships, but we are in the same boat now. It's not the violence of the few that scares me, it's the silence of the many. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Let's build bridges, not walls. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. I still believe that standing up for the truth of God is the greatest thing in the world. This is the end purpose of life. The end of life is not to be happy. The end of life is not to achieve pleasure and avoid pain. The end of life is to do the will of God, come what may. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. Be the peace you wish to see in the world. Perhaps the worst sin in life is knowing right and not doing it. Whenever you are engaged in work that serves humanity and is for the building of humanity, it has dignity and it has worth. A social movement that only moves people is merely a revolt. A movement that changes both people and institutions is a revolution. We must meet the forces of hate with the power of love. Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into friend. One of the great liabilities of history is that all too many people fail to remain awake through great periods of social change. No work is insignificant. All labor that uplifts humanity has dignity. The best way to solve any problem is to remove its cause. The difference between a dreamer and a visionary is that a dreamer has his eyes closed and a visionary has his eyes open. Our children need our presence, not our presents. Freedom has always been an expensive thing. History is full testimony to the fact that freedom is rarely gained without sacrifice and self-denial. People with good intentions but limited understanding are more dangerous than people with total ill will. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. You can kill the dreamer, but you can't kill the dream. The richer we have become materially, the poorer we become morally and spiritually. We have learned to fly in the air like birds and swim in the sea like fish, but we have not learned the simple art of living together as brothers. The most dangerous criminal may be the man, gifted with reason, but with no morals. A man dies when he refuses to stand up for that which is right. Freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. Quietly endure, silently suffer, and patiently wait. Courage is the power of the mind to overcome fear. The ability to lead a happy life is made, not found. If you have got nothing worth dying for, you have got nothing worth living for. The silence of the good people is more dangerous than the brutality of the bad people. A productive and happy life is not something you find, it is something you make. Peace is not simply the absence of conflict, but the existence of justice for all people. Faith is taking the first step, even when you don't see the whole staircase. A genuine leader is not a searcher for consensus, but a molder of consensus. If you can't be a sun, be a star. For it isn't by size that you win or fail. Be the best of whatever you are. A riot is the language of the unheard. Courage is an inner resolution to go forward despite obstacles. Cowardice is submissive surrender to circumstances. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred. Everybody can be great because anybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and verb agree to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. There is some good in the worst of us and some evil in the best of us. We must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope. There is nothing new about poverty. What is new, however, is that we have the resources to get rid of it. I say to you today, my friends, so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. If we do an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, we will be a blind and toothless nation. Everyone can be great because everyone can serve. Freedom only comes through persistent revolt, through persistent agitation, through persistently rising up against the system of evil. We must build acts of courage to hold back the flood of fear. It is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of high maturity to rise to the level of self-criticism. When people get caught up with that which is right, and they are willing to sacrifice for it, there is no stopping point short of victory. Without justice, there can be no peace. We cannot walk alone, and as we walk, we must make the pledge that we shall always march ahead. We cannot turn back. There is no deficit in human resources. The deficit is in human will. When you are right, you cannot be too radical. When you are wrong, you cannot be too conservative. Courage faces fear and thereby masters it. Cowardice represses fear and is thereby mastered by it. One has a moral responsibility to disobey unjust laws. When evil men burn and bomb, good men must build and bind. Of all the forms of inequality, injustice in healthcare is the most shocking and inhuman. Those who are not looking for happiness are the most likely to find it, because those who are searching forget that the surest way to be happy is to seek happiness for others. Stand up for justice, stand up for truth, and God will be at your side forever. One day we will learn that the heart can never be totally right when the head is totally wrong. All men are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality.